back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman, as you can see from Studio B here, which is basically the garden level of the Holman House. But we're going to go up top of the city of Lansing right now. We're going to spend a little time with Tim Salisbury. He's the regional president, Mid-Michigan region of PNC Financial Services Group. And Tim, we go back a long ways. I am always surprised when I catch you in town, because you are always somewhere on some bizarre, I guess safari would be a good way to say it.
Vicious rumors, Chris. Come on. You're right. I always am coming back from somewhere and hoping to be going somewhere soon in an adventurous sort of way. So,
yeah, well, it's tremendous, the things that you have done out there in nature and going against it in many cases.
Well, more into your sport, Chris. Well, first, I'll thank you for having me on again. It's always fun to spend a few minutes with you on your show. I love that. And but into your sport, today's the opening round of the Pro-Am for the PNC Championship. So why are we sitting on Zoom talking to each other when we should be down there playing with Tiger and Charlie or John and John Daly or something more fun?
You know, it's so funny you bring that up, because I remember one time being in Las Vegas, and I said to them, can you get me on your course? And they did. And I went out and I had something in the afternoon. And I said, can I get out early? And they said, well, there's a twosome out on the first tee. Maybe if you get out there, you can catch him. And you were one of the twosomes.
that was pretty strange to see you be our third coming in there. And you found out I'm much better at the blackjack table than I am on the golf course that day.
Well, I don't remember that. But fortunately, I don't remember either of us reaching in our pocket at the 19th hole. So that was
true.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about 2022. Let's go back. A rather bizarre year, coming off COVID, but also the things the Fed were doing. How did you guys hold up?
You know, it's surprisingly been really good, actually, Chris. Right? You're kind of, we hear all of the headlines, right? There's plenty of chop and plenty of noise out there. But where we stand today is good, right? And where we look back through 22, I get the benefit of talking to lots of business owners, small companies, mid-sized companies, large companies. They are all doing fairly well, and many of them doing extremely well, right? Yes. It's the worry though about what's coming around the corner, right? When you got the pressure on the interest rates that have been, you talk about what the Fed's been doing, and they raised another 50 basis points yesterday on the heels of several 75s. So we're going from almost free money to now people are saying you're charging an awful lot for your money. So,
well, you're absolutely right. Well, inflation was the number one ingredient there to cause them to go to that position. I'm not sure they haven't gotten to where they want to get at this point. So I'm curious about what's going to happen in the future. How do you see 2023 coming out?
Clearly the rapid move in rates has to slow things down, right? I mean, consumers been strong up to this point, but again, that's starting to show a little bit of cracks. So that spending's got to slow, and 23 is clearly got to slow down, right? Or the Fed will keep going anyway. So one way or another, we're going to slow. PNC would forecast sometime middle of 23 a recession hitting. Again, the question is, will it be shallow and short, or is it going to be deep and prolonged? That's kind of the $1 million question that everybody's going to ask. And again, there's lots of challenges out there with supply chain. Still, it's better than it was, but it's still there. Labor costs are very, very high. That's not going to come down anytime in the near term. So there's headwinds for sure. So we see 23 being a challenging year for many of our businesses.
Well, it's interesting because we do the Michigan Future Business Index every 6 months, and in another week we'll be presenting that. Another month, I'm sorry. And PNC has always been a sponsor. We appreciate that very much. We're showing a reasonable amount of enthusiasm for 23 in that business community.
Yeah, it's interesting. We love supporting that and love getting that local data, right? And Michigan data. And we look at our business owners too. We do the PNC one at September, so it's a couple months old at this point. But the lion's share of those companies are optimistic or moderately optimistic yet, specifically around their business and the local economy, more so than the national economy. So again, you get the big picture and there's concern there, but the pessimism is rising, right? There's still a lot of optimism, but the number of pessimists are growing, I think as time marches on. So we will see, right? The calendar's going to flip and we're going to play the game next year and see what
they're moving out of that I have no opinion category to the dissatisfaction. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So we love getting your national data too, and we're always amazed at how much it kind of matches up. I mean, it's pretty consistent with some small aberrations.
Yeah, it does line up. Michigan's got some uniquenesses, right? Especially, we're sitting here in Lansing. Lansing has actually been a bright spot in increase in labor force, which has been a struggle for the state and struggle nationally. Some of the stats had through October, I think it was, Lansing was up 5.5% versus the state at 1.9%, and in the national economy, I think even slightly less than that. So there's things that are going on that are good for sure. Vehicle sales being up helps Michigan. Again, looking forward to dealing with whatever challenges and opportunities come our way.
We always seem to. That's good. Yeah. Tim Salisbury, the regional president, Mid-Michigan region for PNC Financial Services. Thanks so much for being with us, bud, and thanks for your support over the years. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Chris. It's always fun to be with you.
Good to watch the Michigan Business Network, and that's what you've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on. I'm Chris Holman. We'll be back with more, so stay with us.